Hi, my name is DM Barr, and I write tales of sex, suspense, and satire. My birthday is later this week. My husband, let's call him Mr. DM Barr, though his real name is Josh, he bought me a new laptop. I told him yesterday about how great he was about purchasing it for me. He didn't skimp either. He went for the full 4 year warranty plan and everything. So that means that in a few weeks, we might be able to get better video coming up. I was thinking what I might like from you all for my birthday, because I have been, bringing you some great interviews over the last few months, and I was hoping you might do something for me. So, what would I like? First of all, I'd like you to stay safe. I'd like you to keep 6 feet distance from other people. I'd like you to wash your hands often, and please wear your mask and make sure it goes over your nose, because otherwise it's useless. Secondly, I'd like you to vote. Vote your conscience. Make sure you get out there, read about the candidates, and vote the way you believe, whatever you believe will make the country better. But do your civic duty and please vote. And if you are nervous about putting your ballot in the mail, and if you are nervous about voting in person, then call your Board of Elections and please ask them where you can drop off your ballot so that it's safe and your short gets where it's supposed to be. Third, and finally, if you have the inkling, please pick up one of my books. They're on Amazon, they're at Barnes & Noble. You can purchase expired listings, Slashing Mona Lisa, or pre-order the upcoming book, Saving Grace, a psychological thriller. And that way I'll know that you've had some enjoyment in the upcoming year. So thanks for listening. Today on Author Groupie, I'll be welcoming David Kouri, who has a new book out. He's going to tell you all about it. So sit back, enjoy, and as always, stay safe. Welcome to another edition of Author Groupie. I'm here with David Kouri. Now, David has studied at the Los Angeles Film School and at Oklahoma City University, where he studied under Academy Award-winning executive producer Gray Fredrickson, known for The Godfathers Part 1 and 2, actually two of my very favorite movies.
Oh, yeah.
Apocalypse Now and The Outsiders. His first novel, entitled Texas Heat, was published in 2018, and with the release of his newest book, Elyria, your publicist claimed that you've taken quite a big departure. So thank you for visiting Author Groupie, and you can fill us in on all that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, from what I gleaned on the internet, you were a child actor. Would I recognize
I was, yes,
shows?
ma'am. I started at a very young age. I started in musical theater and just regular theater. And by the time I got to high school, I was doing numerous auditions. I auditioned for numerous soap operas. I actually auditioned for Third Rock from the Sun, the part that Joseph Gordon-Levitt played.
Cool.
So yeah, I got to do a lot of that. I would say that probably my favorite thing in the acting world is probably doing musical theater.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
What's
ma'am.
what's your favorite show? Like, if you could be in any show, what would it be?
Oh, the Jersey Boys. Easy.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, easy. That's not even hard. I don't even have to think about that one. But yeah,
very
either
cool.
that or I actually, that or the Music Man. Actually, I'd have to. Music Man would probably be my second, but I would never turn it down if they offered it to me. So, but yeah, those two would definitely be that I would love to be in.
Do you still get involved in musical theater? Do you do any community theater or anything?
You know, it's sad. The last time I did community theater was back in 2001. So that was 19 years ago. And I did a 75 run performance of Hair in Houston, Texas. And it was awesome.
Wow, that's very cool.
Fantastic. Yeah, I loved it. Love every minute of it. I mean, it's just awesome. You know, you get on stage remembering your dance moves, remembering your lines, and then remembering the lyrics to the music, which you got three things there going on. That is very difficult, and I have a lot of respect for musical theater.
Yeah.
Just absolutely. People that do it for a living blows my mind.
Yeah, I've been listening to Chess as I've been walking my dog in the morning, and I think it's one of the best shows that it was ever written.
See, I like that one. But my thing is that I have this thing about Frankie Valli, and like I had waited forever and ever and ever for a musical, for a show to come out about the guy. So when that one came out, that was one of the first things I did. My first trips to New York City was go see the original Broadway production of that show, and it just blew me away.
That's so cool. I'm
Oh, yeah.
actually friends with the producer of that show.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah.
Wow. I'm jealous. I'm very,
Yeah.
very, very
Very,
jealous
very
now.
cool guy.
Yes, I'm sure he is. And he probably, I'm sure he has gotten to sit down numerous times with Frankie and talk to him about his life.
Oh,
And
no. I
that's,
know.
I love Frankie, man. Frankie is, oh my God, Frankie's awesome.
Oh, that's
Frankie.
so cool.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
so why did you end up leaving acting?
You know, just be really honest. I kind of got to the point where I felt like, I wasn't making headway. I wasn't getting where I wanted to go in film or television, and I wasn't getting where I wanted to go in musical theater, even though hair was a very big thing for me. I held the lead role in that for 75 performances, and running that was not easy. It was a very, very difficult, physically demanding show. And right after that, I had gotten cast in Man of La Mancha. And had I not shattered my leg in 4 different places,
Oh,
I would have done
yeah.
that. But 2 days before tech rehearsal started, I fell off of a desk that I was standing on at my old high school and shattered my tibia, my fibula, my knee, and my ankle.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah,
Bad
didn't start.
timing.
Yeah, it was horrible timing, actually. And that one really, Man of La Mancha probably would have cemented me at least in the Houston theater community in a massive, massive way. And just sadly, getting over that injury was pretty brutal.
No.
To be really, really honest, I mean, most of my left leg is pretty much titanium. I've got rods and pins in my leg, so it's one of those things where it wasn't the leg breaking, but it was also the fact of, I'm tired. I wish that I had made it, and I felt like if I was gonna make it, I would have made it before. But also, when I was in high school, I begged my parents to send me to LA for pilot season. They wouldn't do it. I think they were worried that I would go out there and get addicted to drugs or something like that and wind up dying. Not that there's anything amusing about that, but it's amusing jumping inside my mom and dad's brain and knowing exactly the reasons why they wouldn't let me go to LA, back in the early 90s, mid 90s. And I just got very interested in the technical side of acting and the technical side of film,
Hmm.
television, writing, directing, producing, all of that stuff. And writing really, I have to say, is really my bread and butter, I feel.
Perfect. So you graduated from Los Angeles Film School and you studied with under Gray. And
Yeah.
what did you study and how did that define your writing career?
It's interesting, especially at Oklahoma City University. Everything that I have written since about the age of 19 years old has been read by Gray Frederickson. And just to have that is a treasure. The man is the man's a living legend. And I mean, I could go on and on about the guy, but this isn't an interview about him. It's an interview about me. And what he told me was that, he was like, he won't accept anything that is not perfect in writing from anyone. So, I mean, you can only imagine, right? I mean, Apocalypse Now, Godfather 1 and 2, The Outsiders. Francis knows how to put scripts together. He knows how to put his movies together. And what it taught me is that never be satisfied with anything that you write. And that is how I feel about all of my work. I'm never satisfied. It might be very good. My family might love it. My friends might love it. My wife might love it. My kids might love it. And hopefully the public will love it. But I always feel like there's more that I can do. That there's more that there's something that I've left out. However, except for Elyria, with the first book in this series, I really believe I have touched on just about every aspect I could possibly touch on any of these characters in this story as to how much I want my audience to know with this first book. So I feel like this is the book that Gray would basically say to me, David, you finally did it. You finally did something that feels right there, darn near perfect, and congratulations. I haven't spoken to him in a couple of months, but I do know that he has bought the book. I don't know if he's read it yet. Knowing Gray, he probably has not. So But I mean, like as I said, Texas Heat was a good freshman novel that, like I said, is going through a rewrite right now. But Elyria was pretty much, as I would call it, perfect right off the bat, coming off the computer and then sent to the editor. I felt like everything that I had in it, that there was, like I said, nothing missing. That there was extra stuff. There's just the story itself takes you for a ride and a half.
All right, well, let's go back. I just want to get back to your first book to start with.
Absolutely.
I understand your first inspiration came from a game of the Houston Astros at a young age. Could you explain a little bit about that?
My parents, from the year before I was born, from 1974 to about 2006, had season tickets to the Houston Astros. And at the age of 4 in 1979, my dad took me to the Houston Astrodome to see the Houston Astros play baseball. And I got to watch J.R. Richards pitch, who is basically, if you will, a living legend in Houston Astros lore. In 1980, he had a massive stroke, which debilitated him, took him out of the game. He was one of the fastest pitchers in the game. He was throwing upwards of 101, 102 miles an hour every time he stepped on the mound at 6'8". He was just a commanding presence, and he was probably, at least in my mind, the greatest African-American pitcher to ever pitch in the game of baseball, in Major League Baseball, at that time, and maybe ever. I mean, he was right up there with Nolan Ryan. If the guy had not had the stroke, he would have retired and been right up there with Nolan Ryan. He would have been up there in strikeouts. He would have been up there in wins and complete games. And it was that really, just my love of baseball in general, brought out that first book. My love of the Houston Astros, my love of everything baseball, my love of our national pastime. But as we all know, the Astros have gotten themselves into quite a bit of trouble. So with the rewrites that I'm doing, I'm being a little more honest, if you will, I guess, with the rewrites in this book, because I feel like it's something that needs to be said, that even though this is a fictional tale, it may be based off of certain specific qualities of certain specific players from the Houston Astros, from their rosters from the 70s on up to now. Nolan Ryan and J.R. Richards would be my two guys that I would use to have Avery Harris. That is who Avery Harris is. Avery Harris is a combination of both of these amazing, incredible men. These two men that gave everything that they had to the sport. And that's kind of how I feel with life, is that if you don't give what you are trying to do 100% of everything you've got, then why do it?
Sure. So, various book sites show the author of Texas Heat as David Matthews, but David Kouri as publisher. And then this new book is under David Kouri. So I was just wondering why you chose to change your name back to your real name for this new book.
Well, originally, I just went with my middle name. Matthew is my middle name, so I added an S to that. And it was because the original version of Texas Heat was quite a bit trashier than the one that's out right now. So when I went back and made the changes that I made to it originally the first time, to get it to a point where it could be something for, anybody from freshman year of high school on up that could enjoy it if they like baseball, could read it. We just never changed the last name on it. We just went with Matthews. We left it as that. And with this one, I decided that it was much better to probably go with my real last name than just, an author name.
Yep, I understand. So, Texas Heat was a YA book, young adult.
Yes, ma'am.
And how is Elyria also YA, a departure, and what was the inspiration behind the book? Tell us a little bit about it.
I'm a massive fan of vampires. I love vampires. I think vampires are awesome. As a matter of fact, probably the very first big novel that I ever read was Bram Stoker's Dracula. And it had an effect on me. What can I say? I am a massive vampire fan, vampire movies, vampire anything, people that consider themselves, that live the vampire lifestyle. And I not that there's anything wrong with Stephenie Meyer's books, but I think that the only thing that I would do with her vampires is make them a bit more tougher and a bit more gruff, and that is exactly what I have done with my book. I would say that there is inspiration has come from Bram Stoker. It has come from Anne Rice. It has come from Stephanie Meyer. It has come from J.R.R. Tolkien. It has come from C.S. Lewis. My love of fantasy, my love of vampire, and the ability to just take both of those genres and mash them together. That I could sit here and try to explain this story to you, but it's just better if you can read it from cover to cover. Just because the story is so wild, it's so crazy, it's so silly, but it takes your emotions on a ride, and I think it also deals with a lot of racism. It deals with the desire for everyone to want to be together. We want to try to bring unity to humankind, to mankind. We're not doing a very good job of that right now. We've got people out there that are coming together by protesting and doing it right, doing it the right way, and going out and telling the world what the world needs to be told. This is along those lines with it. This has a message to tell, and that message is that we have to accept everybody. Everybody needs to be accepted. That hatred and that racism and that just discrimination of any kind is really not what we are looking for. That we are in the 21st century, and by God, if nothing has really changed that much. And that's what freaks me out. That's what scares me. That's what freaks me and my wife out about, what kind of future are we going to leave our kids when we're gone?
Good message. Excellent message. Tell me, I know you don't want to tell me everything about the plot because it's so wild, but what can you tell me about Cameron, your main character? Is he based on anyone you know, or what was the inspiration behind
I would say
Cameron?
that Cameron is your average, 17, 18-year-old high school senior who, is living a pretty normal life. And he's probably started to notice that there are things about him that are slightly different, now becoming way different than probably other people in his high school. He's got specific abilities. He's got powers that he's never known about. And when they first come to him, everything about them freaks him out. So his reaction to what is happening to him is utterly perfect. There's a lot of humor in this book. There's a lot of sadness in this book. There's a lot of death in this book. There is a lot of finding out who you really are. Like who are we really? And what does it take for us to figure out who we are really? What is that one moment in life that defines us, as a person for the rest of everything? And that one moment happens pretty quickly in this book. That moment happens within the first page and a half of this book.
Wow.
So that won't be what I'm reading today, but it is definitely one of these things that says how we react to a situation makes us who we are. How we react to a situation shows us what kind of person we're going to be. Are we going to be a leader? Are we going to be a follower? Are we going to be somebody that curls up and dies in a ball? And these are things that I find extremely important. We teach our kids to be strong. We teach our kids to be as strong and to be as much of themselves as they can possibly be without getting themselves into trouble. So, and that's the way my parents were. I went a obtuse and crazy with mine for a while, but writing really grounded me. Writing allowed me, writing this book, writing Texas Heat, it allowed me to get to exercise a lot of those demons.
Well, excellent reason to write then. What did you learn about yourself when writing this book?
That I have the ability to write this type of book. I had waited so long to start executing the idea for Elyria because I didn't want it to be garbage. I wanted to be able to make the people that I grew up reading proud, even though most of them are dead now. Like C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien have been gone for a very long time. But also at the same time, Stephen King, J.K. Rowling, all of these people have inspired me. They have inspired me. King and them have been inspiring me for years. Obviously, Anne Rice has been inspiring me since I started reading her at about the age of 11 years old. So it's Anne Rice is a goddess to me. I mean, she is Bram Stoker can't even touch her. I literally, honestly, the books that she has created, that's what I've really tried to do with Elyria. Is I have tried to create vampires and creatures that people will love, that people will want to see make it through all the way to the end, to the last book. And like the vampire Lestat, it's one of the most creative, most ingenious characters that has ever been created in literature. Period. I mean, he's right up there with Dracula. He's right up there, and it's like I said, if I can get somewhere, if I can get someone like that to read my book and say, hey, good job, that's gonna make my life.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
that is something. I've gotten to meet a couple of them. I met Dr. Hunter S. Thompson back at the University of Houston
Yeah.
in the late 90s, and I was not even able to get a word out because I did not know what to say. And I really wish I had, but I could not even open my mouth. I was so just completely and I was awestruck. And it was one of those things where I knew it. I was like, I'm going to get up there, I'm not going to be able to talk to him. And I couldn't say anything. And then I didn't even get the book signed. So it was, I'll never get the opportunity again. I mean, it's one of these things that we take a lot of things in life for granted. I think a lot of us take our families for granted. And right now, with everything that's going on, everybody's stuck with their family right now. So it's, everybody's stuck indoors pretty much, unless you're willing to go out there and risk it. But, we aren't, because we have a daughter that has cancer and heart issues. So we are just unable to do any of that stuff. We can't go out and do anything like that right now.
Yeah, we're high risk too. And you're led right into my next question, which was the script you wrote called The Normals, which relates to your daughter's illness. Can you tell us a little bit about
Absolutely. It is actually, it follows all of us. It follows how my wife and I met, which was on a online dating site called singleparentsmeet.com.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts off, it basically just tells our story. It tells how we met, the trials and tribulations that we went through right after she and I got together. Once we started dating, my ex took my children from me and took me to court, and I did not get to see my children for nearly a year. And it nearly destroyed our relationship because I went into a massive funk, massive depression, and was not willing to do or listen to anything that anyone had to say. But we went to court. I had a fantastic attorney. Truth came out, and now I have joint custody with my ex. And actually a very good relationship with my ex because of my wife. So she was able, she did a miracle. She made a miracle happen. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah. And with Bella, which is our daughter, she has had 5 open heart surgeries. She has had 14 heart caths. She was born with the George syndrome, or 22q, which is a deletion of the 22nd chromosome. And Christmas of 2017, she was diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
My goodness.
But, you look at her, you would never know.
How old is she?
She's 13 years old.
Poor kid.
She's in her last year of junior high school. She'll be a freshman in high school next year. She, like I said, you wouldn't know. And I mean, basically she's in remission. Her heart has never been in better shape than it is right now. The doctor that did the most recent surgery told us, he was just like, it was fantastic. It was mind blowing how quick the surgery was as well. And it was right before the shit hit the fan, pardon my French, but it was right before hospitals shut down and they had that thing where, only one person could go in, and then it was none. And then now it's back to one. And so it really, I mean, it shows you what you're capable of, how much you can take and how much you can't. And, I think if it were weaker people involved with this, I don't know if our relationship would have lasted, because, when she and I first started talking, before we ever met, before we ever spoke on the phone, she sent me Bella's story. And she wanted to make sure that, if we started dating and if I got close to her kids, that I wasn't going to go anywhere. And here we are 6 years later, and I haven't gone anywhere. I'm not going to go anywhere unless, she throws me somewhere. And
That's a whole different show. That's not author groupie.
Exactly. But I mean, I mean, it hasn't been easy, but anything that's worthwhile should not be.
Yeah.
I think that you have to work at anything and everything, and we have had to work. I know that I'm a handful. I am obtuse. I can, I like to have things my way, and I've changed that immensely. I'm not sure if my wife would agree with what I'm saying right now, and she can hear everything I'm saying because she's in our living room right now. So
she can make little comments on the video when it's out.
Yes, she could. Yes, she could. Yes, she could. And I'm sure that once she finds out, she might very well do that. But I mean, the thing is that also the other thing is that being able to be friends first, is something that has worked out incredibly well for us. I love her children. Her children are my children, even though that they are not biologically mine, they are still mine.
Mm-hmm.
I would fight to the death for them. I love them to death. If I could take everything from Bella and put it on my shoulders right now, I would. So would her mom. So it's one of these things where, we believe that this is a good television series because we believe it's something that, people don't see this on a normal day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Are you shopping it around?
We are, I don't even know how to get it into anybody's hands. That's my problem. My problem with all of this has been getting scripts into the right people's hands, getting treatments into the right people's hands, things like that. And it just has not worked out for me. And we're trying, we're sending out queries. But the one thing that I've never done is I've never queried with a script before. So I'm not really sure how to query with a screenplay or a teleplay. And I would love to send it to Netflix because I think Netflix would pick it up in a heartbeat. And it would be streaming within a year. It's very much along the lines of the TV series This Is Us.
Yeah.
But it's actually based off of actual stuff. So
there are organizations, I'm sure, of screenwriters online that you can join, and I know that I've gotten tremendous help from other authors in different author organizations, just like there's horror writers organizations that you probably would love to join. I'm sure that I don't write screenplays, so I can't advise, but I know that I've seen lots of groups on Facebook, and I'm sure there are internet groups and professional groups of screenwriters that you can speak to. That might be one way. I mean, marketing your work is an entirely different, it's so different from writing.
Oh, yeah.
And some people seem to excel in one or the other. I'm very fortunate that I was a marketer, so I kind of like doing both, but it's not a lot of people who do that. So I would look into that aspect. It's going to be important for you.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look further into the marketing portion of it to see what I can find. So because it hasn't worked out yet. So
yet is a good word, because that doesn't, marketing can turn everything around.
Yes,
So you've got a lot on your plate between your kids and your writing. What do you do when you're not doing either of those things?
Well,
any free time?
Normally we, the wife and I like to go out to like 5 Mile Dam out here in Kyle. It's a place that runs off the river, off the Guadalupe River out here in Texas. So it's doing that, going to stores, going to malls, going to outlet malls, going to flea markets, which none of it is okay to do right
What
now.
What is this shopping of which you speak?
Yeah, no, I know it's all done on Amazon right now. So,
Yeah.
but you know, I love to watch baseball. I can't go to the games, but I unfortunately, with the type of network that the Astros belong to, their games don't broadcast out here, so I can't get their games unless they're in the playoffs or the World Series. So it's funny, you know, if I'm not sitting with my wife, chatting with my wife, or watching television, I'm on my computer writing constantly.
So along those lines, what can we expect from you next?
The next book that you guys will be getting from me will be something called The Curve, which is the rewrites to Texas Heat. And it will still be young adult. It will be a little more on the ferocious side, though. It will be a little bit more, it will tell a little more of the story that I actually wanted to tell from the starting point, that I just went in a different direction. We know sometimes that even when we write our outlines, that our outlines change drastically as we write, because we feel, oh, hey, this is a really, really good idea. And unfortunately, I put a little too much perfectness, a little too much, everything's great, everything's wonderful in this book, in the Texas Heat, and that needs to change.
Yeah, you have to have conflict throughout. Yeah.
Conflict. Yeah. And there is so much of that right now in The Curve as I'm writing it, that it is filled with conflict. I mean, up and down from the second page on, there's conflict galore had in it. And I'm hoping to have this thing done by Christmas. My goal is to be done by the mid to end of December, and have it hopefully independently out on Amazon by mid-January, most likely, is my hope. Okay. So, but it is definitely a 100-mile difference from what Texas Heat, the original one that is sitting on Amazon right now, is, and this one is going to push that one to the side.
Great. Well, would you like to read a little from your new book, Elyria, for us?
Oh, I would love to. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Let me go. Here we go. Escape was not going to be easy. Everywhere we turned, we could hear them close behind. We had just finished making our way down the fire escape exit of the building. We have to move, demanded the weird dude as we continued moving at what felt like the speed of light. Do you know how to fight? He asked. I'm no wuss if that's what you're asking, I assured him. We're going to have to fight these men. And whatever you do, if they remove their masks, do not, and I repeat, do not look them directly in the eyes. Don't look them in the eyes. Got it. And again, I'm going to need some answers. Yeah, kid, I heard you the first time. Take this, said the man as he handed me a double-sided dagger. There's only one way to kill these bastards, and it's by literally cutting their heads off. Oh, yeah, one more thing. Try not to get their blood on your skin, because it burns like hell. I couldn't believe what was happening here. I felt like I was stuck in an episode of Kill or Be Killed or The Mangler. But I had no time to think about that as we prepared to turn and face my parents' killers. The fight was brutal. I must have been stabbed over 50 times, but for whatever reason, all of the wounds healed within seconds. My weird friend decapitated at least 3 of the men while I was able to handle 2, with skills that shocked the living hell out of even me. Where did this healing ability come from? I don't remember having it as a kid. And where did the fighting skills come from? It was all Greek to me, but the answers had to be coming from somewhere. After fending off and dismembering the men who killed my parents, the weird dude let me out the back of the building we were in and into a waiting helicopter just outside. To hell with this, I yelled over the twirling blades. I'm not going anywhere with you, I continued. Kid, I'm your only hope, and I can't leave you here to die. You're too damned important. Too important for what? I screamed. Do I have to spell it out, kid? You're a savior, for lack of a better word. I couldn't help but laugh. And just who or what is it that I'm supposed to save? How does mankind sound?
Wow. That was great. Very exciting.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's almost a new adventure on every page. There's no slowing down for this kid once once he gets on that helicopter, it becomes, you know, it would be like, I guess, I'm not even really sure how to describe it. It would be like finding out that everything you thought was real was completely fake, and now you are learning the truth.
Wow.
So there is so much to him. There is so much that people will find out within the first 10 to 12 pages of this book that it will probably blow their minds. It really is a stellar, wild, crazy ass ride.
I hope that everybody who's watching out there will pick a copy up. It's Elyria, and the link will be at the end of this video that you can go to Amazon and pick it up. Thank you so much, David, for joining me today.
You.
I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, it was a blast.
I wish you best of luck, and please, for you and your family, stay safe.
Oh, yes, ma'am. You too.
Thank you.